Like you. Let's talk about accountability, guys. Yeah, I cloned your repo. Hello, everyone. How are y'all doing? How are you guys doing? Good evening. Good evening. How are you? Sorry, I am still working. I just wanted to get some time with the lovely people in the community. How y'all going? It's been a long day. It's quite cold in the UK. We have a lot to talk about, guys. I know it's a Monday evening, so I don't know how many people are going to be able to join. But that's okay. If you're, please let me know in the chat if you're from the community. I would have liked to host this yesterday, but I wasn't sure how many of us would be here. Happy Diwali to people, to all who celebrate. I hear it's today and tomorrow. Happy Diwali to you. Diwali. Am I pronouncing it well? Diwali. We have a lot to talk about, guys. Let's see if more people will join the community. How is it going? The shenanigans. The shenanigans are getting out of hand, are they not? The nonsensory is getting out of hand, is it not? We now have the royal family. Do you know what's so high, Rachel? Do you know what's very frustrating about this Prince Andrew thing? Sorry, normally I would give us time to get there, but let me just go straight into it. Hi, Bellatrix. What is very frustrating about this Prince Andrew fiasco is just the utter audacity. Like, the book, let me know in the chat what you think. I wanted to do like a mini live with Virginia Giuffre's book, but I do appreciate that documented cases of sexual assault can be deeply traumatic. So what I will do, I'm hoping they have an audiobook version that I can listen to, then we can come together and talk about it. What do you guys think? Would you be interested? Because I think, look, there have to be documented. I think it's something that we should talk about. While I appreciate that our channel is mainly for Meghan and Harry, we need to talk about the hypocrisy. Because it's ridiculous. Hi, Dan. Thank you so much. That's very sweet. Prince Andrew, a man who went to the best schools, had the type of opportunities that people like many of us cannot even there's some opportunities or some life experiences people will have that your brain cannot even begin to fathom. That type of privilege that I can't even begin to imagine that type of privilege. You have all that. And this is the grand total of what you decide to do with all that privilege. Zero. Andrew has no talent, no skills. He's not invested in anything. He's just taken the arrogance that was beaten into him as being a member of the royal family, and he has not used it for any good. Now, let me be very clear, yeah? I think we can. Is there anybody on this chat who does not believe that Andrew is a pedo? Let's start there. People might say, and to be fair, let me give Andrew this, right? Pedos are people who have sex with prepubescent children. So I think calling him a pedophile, unless there's actual documented cases of him having sex with a child, is not fair. But men who are attracted to teenage girls or boys under the ages of 18. So the age range I'm going to give Andrew is between the ages of 13 and 17. Not that, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's better, but I'm going to give him that age range, right? Imagine a man of 40, because how old was Andrew? Is was 65 now? Wait, no, yeah, he's 65. He met Virginia Giuffre when she was 17, right? So that was 25 years ago, I think, or even earlier. So let's say late 30s, 40s, old enough to have known better. He's been in the royal family all his life. So he would have he would have known, yeah, how to navigate himself generally, because people with that level of access, power, opportunity, they are open to all forms of exploitation, especially people who come from generational wealth, because they've never had to, I won't say work, they've never had to, you know how you move through life. You work because you have to. You have a business. You make money, you earn a living because you have to. Otherwise, bills will not get paid. You know, you need to survive. Hi, Sandra. You need to survive. Yeah. So that's Andrew. Andrew is one of those very rare, lucky individuals who never had to struggle for anything in his life. If he was making money, it was for his own luxury. Because let's not get it twisted. These royal kids, and I include Harry in that bracket, they grow up and they live exorbitant lifestyles. Now, as the spare, which Andrew was, not the heir, Charles is the heir. I do believe if you look at the playbook that was applied to Harry, you can kind of guess what Andrew's life was like, because don't forget the spare was never supposed to outshine the heir. The spare is there for extra body parts and to protect the heir. Right? So if Charles was able to spend £1 million a year, you know for a fact that Andrew was not spending anywhere near that amount of money. And don't forget, siblings are jealous of each other. Siblings have that healthy to unhealthy jealousy between themselves. Charles, because of the virtue of his potential heirdom, will be afforded opportunities, invited into spaces, had access to people that Andrew most likely wouldn't have. Yeah? So to maintain a certain lifestyle and to live in a certain lifestyle, these people would need to be friendly with certain people. Hopefully I'm making sense. Let me give you a scenario, right? Imagine somebody as arrogant, because Andrew is known for his arrogance. He carries that title very loftily. But they tell him that his annual allowance, being the spare, is £50,000 a year. Let's just say, right? And Andrew doesn't like that. He's like, why am I the son of the king, the queen, collecting 50K a year when Charles gets maybe 1 million and has a whole duchy to manage? That's not fair. And don't forget, because they don't raise the spare to be useful in any way, they don't raise them to have ambitions. You know how everybody goes to school because one day they'd like to be a banker or an engineer or a fireman or a baker. Andrew went to school because it's a decoration, you know? He went to school to network. He went to school to go and hang out with other aristocrats. Because after school, that routine, Andrew doesn't have anything he can do. And let me be fair to Andrew. Andrew may have had ambitions, but the British royal family, the machinery behind the British royal family is such that you cannot have ambitions outside the royal family. They can't allow it because again, you cannot outshine the heir. One, and two, the way the monarchy is designed, the machinery of the monarchy, everybody has their place, right? Andrew is a useful idiot. They sent him to those expensive schools so that he would talk in a particular way, so he can network with a certain type of people. Yeah? Not because they wanted him to be an actual contributing functional member of society. Sandra, to your point, people keep on saying that Andrew is the Queen's favorite. I'm going to say it now. Who else says that? Because I'm not seeing that said anywhere else. Nobody is saying that Andrew is anybody's favorite. I could be wrong though. I keep asking, who was the person that started saying that Andrew is the favorite of the Queen? Who's the person? They all do. I know they all do. But has the Queen ever come out to say, "Oh, Andy is my fave"? I don't recall. Well, I could be wrong though. And the reason, Sandra, why I push back against that is we all know that the British media lies. We all know these so-called yeah, exactly. So, no, I'm not challenging you. I'm just saying that it's come to a point where I don't trust anything anybody says anymore unless I hear it directly from the person saying it. Unfortunately, the Queen has died, so we will never know the truth. But I'm going to say that I don't know if I believe that Andrew was the fave of the Queen. He may have been, I don't know. And I'm not saying it to defend him because he's a pedo or what do you call men that like young. He's I forget the next thing. I'll think of that word. Yeah, I'm just saying it because the British media have a reputation that we all know about of pushing a narrative, and then we find out at the end that, oh wait, the narrative may not necessarily be true. So I'll put question mark on where exactly did the Queen or anybody reputable actually say that Andrew was the Queen's favorite child. But let me go back to my point, right? Andrew, like his siblings, built into the machinery of the royal family. They can't have independent goals because they can't outshine the heir. And if you think about the power of control, right? Every human being wants to be independent. Less than 500%. But independence comes with money. You need money to be independent, right? And then they tell you that, okay, you know what, Andrew, because I personally don't believe Andrew has any ambition or had any ambitions of his own. Andrew, okay, well, you can't work, mate. So here you go. Take this allowance and go and live a life. But if Andrew wants to be going on expensive trips, if he wants to be traveling around the world, if he wants to spend Monday to Friday at the best clubs and bars in Mayfair, Chelsea, and God knows where else in this country they go to, he needs money because he is surrounded by other aristocrats who aren't in the royal family or who aren't senior royals. He's surrounded by rich Arab friends, rich Russian friends, British friends, people from his circle who may have a relationship with the monarchy, but they are not necessarily part of the monarchy. So there's a lot of old money wealth. They're able to go to Monaco, Nice, Italy, Lake Como, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, America. They're able to spend money, but Andy only gets his stipend, being the second born. So that is a problem. And the reason I'm giving you guys all this background, because Andrew is not just about him being a disgusting pervert. It is about the corruption him and his wife participated in and perpetuated. That's why I say, as terrible as the story is, the trauma of Virginia Giuffre and those other victims, to me, is just one part of the story. Who was funding Andrew's lifestyle? Like, why did he need? Because if you read a lot of these books about these aristocrats, crafts, old British titles, money, a lot of them do what Andrew does. They find sponsors, men and women who are willing to fund their lifestyle. And in return, what people get is access. They get invited to all these, pageantry, British pageantry. If you know what I mean, guys. Tell you what, let's think of Epstein. Epstein somehow was able to have access to billions of dollars. Having access to money doesn't mean you have access to the royal family. It doesn't mean you have access to a certain type of society. Money can't buy you that access, which is why you have men like Andrew. Men like Andrew who have very expensive, lazy high tastes, but they don't have any means to make money legally. So what do? They become your sponsor. They become your friends. Men like Andrew are very good for networking. And that's how Epstein found Andrew, frankly. An arrogant dick who enjoys a good time, who comes from old money and aristocracy. And men like that are very good for your Rolodex. For men like Epstein, Andrew, to me, in my opinion, Andrew was a very valuable member, because men like Andrew validate him. Men like Andrew legitimize men like Epstein. And then you get that friendship, and in exchange for that so-called friendship, Andrew gets to stay in his expensive New York property. Andrew gets to fly on his plane and go to his pedo island. And that in itself is a disgrace. Against all odds, the general public is quite pissed. And I will give it to the British public. When it comes to Andrew, Prince Andrew, if nobody else, I think we can all agree, everybody, left, right, middle, center, we can all agree that Andrew is a representation of the excesses of the British royal family. Because it's a very excessive lifestyle. And this is something that I was saying. That's why I said Andrew is the news, but this is the starting point. We need to start auditing these people. How much does, if we imagine that William as the potential heir, I don't give a damn. William as the potential heir gets how much? According to the reports, over 20 million pounds a year, right? But with all the duchies that he's taken over. If Harry was still in the royal family, who would be giving Harry money? Would it still be Charles? Yes. But if William is getting 20 million, etc., as part of managing the duchies, Harry that has no duchy, he relies on his dad, yes. So maybe his dad says, okay, for your upkeep, your wife, your children, your security, I'm going to give you 500K a year. Or maybe a million. I doubt it was a million though. They have other family members. And don't forget that because the purses are managed by Charles, he can decide who he's going to give money to. That's again what we talk about control. That makes no sense. This is why what happened with Andrew was able to happen. A normal family, a normal family, if they claim to be a royal family working for the British people, their assets will be nationalized. They work, we subsidize their lifestyle. The money we give them for the land, the money we give them for their upkeep. So we know what is coming in and what's going out. And we can do an audit. But the British, but that is the corruption with the British monarchy. And it has been there for centuries. The relationship between the Houses of Parliament and the British monarchy. A symbiotic relation. Well, it used to be a symbiotic relationship. Now I'm not even sure if it's a I don't see it as a symbiotic. In fact, I would say right now the royal family's brand is bringing down the seriousness of the UK government. Because what do you mean? There is nobody on this earth has been found who has been found to be guilty of interacting with girls or boys between the ages of 11 and 17 that will still keep their positions of power. Those people don't exist. That's the thing against all odds. We don't know. All we know is he's getting money. And for those of you who are on my channel, you've seen me post the excerpt from that deep dive documentary about where exactly are they getting the money from. The deep dive panorama, was it panorama? No, I think it was Channel 4, Channel 5. Two broadcasting houses came together to release who and what exactly is funding the British monarchy. And you see how they make their money. Yes, they make their money off the lands from their duchy. They make money also from the rents paid to them from our public sector, from our NHS, from our prisons, from the harbor, from the ferries. William and Charles got a £50 million windfall last year. Why? Because on their land, people they are building wind farms. So to build those wind farms, they had to rent out their land, the royal family's land, and they had to pay them wind profits. So the 20 something million is just the one they've chosen to make public. And the rest, that documentary found out. Do you know how much more money they are hoarding that we will never know? Don't forget, exactly, don't forget, Petros, don't also forget that these charities they claim to run, these polo matches they claim to do for their own special charities, we don't have any oversight of those things. An article came out earlier this year about how Prince William, in one of his polo matches for his charity, a lady was caught selling access. And she had different tiers, all up to £500,000. Oh, do you want to meet William? Okay, come on, you will take tier 1. With tier 1, you can maybe get a sit down with William, some champagne, talk to him, bring £500,000. And do you expect me to believe that William is not aware? When it came out, Of course, the royal waiter barely touched it, but they did say something though. They were like, William released a statement saying he had no idea. What do you mean you had no idea, William? You okay? So you're saying that at this polo event that you have, people can just approach you. This person that was helping you find people to pay £500,000 to come and talk to you would just show up by your side with a stranger, and it's all good. And you expect normal people to believe this shit. But like I said, I digress. The politics, the business of the monarchy, to me, this story is deeper than, unfortunately, is deeper than Virginia Giuffre. Is sadly deeper than the victims, but it's about the criminality of the British royal family and how they've been able to protect themselves by having some sort of arrangement with houses of parliament. So any government, Labour or Tory, they don't touch them, they don't question them, they don't challenge them. And they further cemented that power by the death pact that they've made with the British press. The British press is touching the story now because it is hard not to. And because this is what Andrew is for. They've kept Andrew around as a useful idiot. They've kept him around as the person that they would drop information about, get you angry for 2 months or for 2 weeks. And while we are all angry facing Andrew, God knows what shenanigans William and his father are up to. Because make no mistake, this thing that's happening right now, that's a distraction. It's a distraction. Right? All they had to do was strip. Why didn't they strip Andy's titles all those years ago? Why now? Why keep it? And don't forget all those pictures they took of William, Kate, and Andrew. There are pictures of Kate William driving Andrew to church and back and talking to him and interacting with him. So on one hand, while they are selling to the papers, oh, we've cut Andrew off, we're not dealing with him. But he's still staying in a multi-million-pound lodge. People are saying he paid for his lease. Yeah, but who's paying for his servants? Who's paying his heating? Who's paying his gas, electric? Who's paying his Netflix? Do you cut someone off and still fund their lifestyle? Exactly. Andrew has accepted the role of scapegoat again to maintain this lifestyle. We spoke about it at the beginning earlier when I was saying that if you look at the stipend these people get compared to the lifestyle they think they deserve, that's why they are so easy to fall. They are easy prey for men like Epstein. Because what do you mean that Fergie has been receiving 15 years of funding from Epstein? How does that make sense? Why is Fergie the wife or ex-wife of the brother of the queen of that time collecting money from Epstein? Does that make sense? Why is he funding her lifestyle? And that's the part that I keep on coming back on. Why was money moving hands between these people? Yeah, but for photo ops don't mean a damn thing. The world remembers, but not stupid. What type of system in the British monarchy is in place that the heir gets all that money to fund his lifestyle, but the spare are given a drastically lower stipend, which puts them in a position where some of them have to go, or some of them are vulnerable to people to fund their lifestyle. Why is that allowed? It's like when you work in a bank, part of the training they make you take is they want to know what your outside business interests are. Not because they want to stop you, but they want to know where you could potentially be vulnerable. It's like bank clerks. They always warn them and train them, be careful. Be careful who you speak to. Be careful what you post because you never know. Criminals are scouring people's social media on LinkedIn. Oh, you are a bank teller. Okay, bank teller. Bank teller has access to cash. Let me befriend this bank teller. Let me go to that person's social media account and look for keywords that will create a profile for this person. And again, Andrew, Anne, Harry, William, because of who they are, from young, they would have been trained to be very cautious of this type of thing. So the point I'm trying to make here is Andrew is not a victim. Andrew is out. Do I think the machinery of the royal family intentionally puts the spares in positions where they are vulnerable? Yes. But it's a control thing. That being said, it doesn't mean or give you a blank check to go and be friendly with all sorts of people. Andrew was a party boy who clearly loved to spend money and travel and go everywhere and pretend to be young in the club. And that's why he's in this mess today. Epstein gave Andrew money. Yes, exactly. This was what they wanted for Harry now. Because the thing about me is I love history. And if you read up about a lot of the history of the British royal family, it's disgusting. There's rapes, disappearing people, murder, criminality, all of that. And they intentionally make them vulnerable because again, they need someone to beat up in the media to prop up the air. And that's what Andrew was for. Andrew is the fuck up pedo, the gross uncle. And he was useful until he began to get out of hand. What again, this is how I tell people the British royal family are sitting in this bubble of ridiculousness. This nonsense may have worked 100 years ago. This is 2025. You cannot have a creepy uncle. Not in a family like the royal family. People will challenge you that what the hell do you mean? Because I keep on asking. This thing came out years ago. Why is it just now you're stripping Andrew of his titles? Why now? Why now? Why at this moment? You didn't take it during the BBC interview. You didn't take it when that picture came out. Why now? They are doing it now because there's a book coming out. And I think they know what's in that book. They're doing it now because, as usual, because they are living in this weird little bubble, they're not listening to the people. They are listening to their uncle, to their friends in the media. Just going on X alone, even though it's an absolute cesspool of nonsense. Just going through the X alone, go and get some data analysts, data scientists, let them build sentiment analysis for you. You will know very quickly how the people feel about Andrew. Hi guys. People are angry. They were trying to distract us with Harry and Meghan. And while I do agree, to an unfortunate extent, Harry and Meghan could have been a distraction. The average person is wondering, okay, fine, you don't like Andrew. Sorry, you hate Harry, you hate Meghan. But Andrew is a pedo. Andrew is known to be a man who had underage sex with girls. How could you possibly think Harry and Meghan would be a good distraction for something like that? Especially when we've had so many high profile cases of industrialized child sexual abuse go mainstream with the Catholic Church, with the Scouts, with all these institutions. Why did you think that this was going to go away? Jimmy Savile. Andrew was a volcano that was already erupting that they put a tiny plastic over, hoping it would die down. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Everybody is angry. Okay, let's strip him of some things. Oh look, let's use Harry and Meghan. Let's use Harry and Meghan. And maybe it worked for a year or two, but the average person cannot equate a couple living their life with a man with documented cases of sexual abuse. And not just sexual abuse, there are documented cases of this British royal family protecting him. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they dragged this out as long as they could, and now it's gotten to a point where you can't sweep it under the rug anymore. You can't use Harry and Meghan as a distraction. It's not working. People want answers. How was this allowed to happen? Why was Andrew not forced to go to the FBI and give testimony of what he knew? Why did the Met not investigate? Did you guys hear what they were saying? That Andrew actually got a former protection officer, a tax paid protection officer, to try and dig up dirt about Virginia Giuffre. Is that what our taxes are paying for? Is Ravek not supposed to be protecting people? Well, we're digging up dirt on people now? They are saying the Met has stepped in and said they're going to investigate that actually. That what the fuck? Now, I'll be honest, I will be very surprised if they find anything or if they find anything and tell us. And maybe the Met stepping in is eye service. But it might not be. Why? Because the Met has its own bad reputation of not managing abuse cases within their own ranks. Don't forget, in the past 4 or 5 years, a lot of things have come out about the behavior in the Met. Yeah. So I think that's why they would take these sexual allegations seriously. Because the Epstein files are in the press. If Virginia Giuffre's book comes out, it's going to spark fire, I think. Now, I'll be honest, and I think we can all agree. Do I think that this is going to cause sweeping change? Honestly, I doubt it. But I could be wrong though, and I'm happy to be wrong. I think people generally have just had enough. Prince Andrew sexually abused young girls. If the British royal family was serious, instead of running in to protect him, they should have held him accountable to send a message that yes, we are the royal family, but this type of behavior is not acceptable. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Accountability. Where is the accountability going to come from? Who is going to hold the British monarchy to account? Who's going to get up and look? The SNP MP that came forward to say he is standing up in parliament to say Andrew should be stripped of his titles. And I was like, oh, so you finally found some balls. Okay. Now let's see if this MP will get the momentum he needs. Because I think we need to see it happen. I think this generation, we need to see accountability. You don't get to sexually abuse a child and get away with it. I mean, what are we becoming? What are we becoming, ladies and gentlemen? Now, I don't know what comes next. I don't know. I think what's going to happen is when I'm going to do another live. So what I'll do with the next live is I hope when the book comes out, it comes out audio book. I'm going to listen to it and I'm going to bookmark the good parts. I also do it with AI as well. So we can sit down together and talk about the revelations. I feel like it's going to be very devastating. But I think we need to hear it. You don't get to hurt people anymore and get away with it. Do you agree? Oh, thank you, Morbid Studio. And everything starts from the grassroots, right? They would have swept this under the rug. And did you guys see that William and Charles are fighting for credit? Let me tell you what I believe happened. I believe Charles is the reason that Andrew Charles has probably been pushing because Charles in many ways has been trying to get Andrew to leave that lodge that he lives in. So I believe with the final straw of Virginia Giuffre's book coming out, don't forget that Andrew was trying to come back when Virginia Giuffre died. Then Fergie messed him up with that whole the emails started coming out, and that's something I was always wondering. What I was wondering about who had somebody had those emails. Why didn't they? So this is why, guys, you see why Harry released his book. Somebody had those emails and held on to it. I don't hear anybody asking that question. Why is it now that those, because this whole thing kicked off again because somebody leaked emails, right? Of Fergie calling Andrew a good friend after she gave, sorry, Epstein a good friend after she gave an interview distancing herself from him. So here is my question. Who was that person? Who had those letters? And why did they sit on it until now? Why now? Because once that email came out, all everything kicked off from there again. Then it came out that Fergie was collecting money from Epstein for 15. Okay, I don't know if that 15 years is true, but she was collecting money from him even after he was convicted of pedophilia. And Fergie also took her children to go and see him. That is not the behavior of somebody who is not a friend to you. Am I right, guys? Do you agree with me? Is that the behavior of somebody who is not a friend? Yeah, but how did Virginia get those emails though? Who gave it to her? Why would Virginia have the emails between Epstein and Fergie? Yeah, I saw that. Told you guys, follow the money. If those letters were leaked from Virginia Giuffre's book, how did she get them? How did whoever it was that leaked that let's play again? How did they get access to those emails? So here's what I think happened. I could be those emails either came from the FBI or they came from the royal family. Don't forget this these people spy on each other. And Andrew will be stupid enough to use a phone or an email that he was given by the royal family to communicate with Epstein. Won't surprise me. Let me tell you my thoughts about Andrew Loney. Andrew Loney said that Harry and Andrew got into a scuffle in 2013 and somebody's nose got bloodied because Andrew was talking down to Harry and telling him to get his life in order. One, two. So they also told him that Andrew hated Meghan, saw her as an opportunistic woman, and told him to get away from her. Harry threatened to sue. As you know, Harry did sue. He sent a cease and desist letter to Lonnie's publisher, which is why I think I haven't read the book because the instant I heard that I was like, if this guy can lie about the Harry and Meghan thing, why should I listen to a word he has to say about anything, especially where the person he's talking about has threatened legal action? So I'm sorry, guys. I've seen the book. I've not read it. Karen, yeah, that's a good get. Aha. Now, see, aha, that makes sense. If those Fergie emails came out because she has an active case, then fine. That's okay. I can believe that. But anything from that's why you see me talking about Andrew. I'm not quoting Lonnie's book. It's just things I've seen and my understanding of the royal family. In fact, I'm using Prince Harry's experience as a spare to color a lot of my thoughts about Andrew. And I recall watching a documentary about Andrew where they said, I think in the 80s, he was very frustrated and went to his mom and was kind of complaining that he wants to have something more to do. He wants to do more, and that's why his mom asks for a favor with the prime minister that, look, my son, give him something to do. And that's how he became an attaché to the British government, for the British government. The person that will be traveling around the world to kind of market brand Britain, to help close deals, not because he's particularly clever, but because they wanted to attach a royal family member's name to maybe a bargain they wanted to, or to flatter a sheik in Saudi Arabia, or to flatter somebody in Russia or India. So by bringing, this is why that scandal with Andrew and that Chinese businessman was very on brand, because again, that was what Andrew was for, an attaché, a name that you can use to give legitimacy to different governments trying to do business together, whether it's legal or illegal. I don't know about that one, but if you know what I mean, you put him there to kind of sweeten the deal, to flatter the egos of the people. Look, this is the son of the queen. We're sending him to you, if you know what I mean. Yeah? That's what Andrew was doing. And from what I've been made to understand, he was getting paid quite well doing it. He was able to travel the world. He was able to live life of luxury and glamour by being an attaché. Whether what he was doing was allowed or was legal, I don't know about all that. But he was allowed to do that by being a British government attaché. And that's how I've been able to put my thoughts about Andrew together, not by reading that foolish man's book. Because like I said, if you can lie, I can't take you seriously. So let's talk about Andrew. Andrew is a scumbag. Andrew is an absolute scumbag. And yet, someone will look at Andrew, who has never worked or earned anything really in his life, and have the audacity to put him and Prince Harry in the same category. Why? Because Harry looked at a system that no longer benefited him and removed himself and his family from it. And he's been able to thrive. Harry has connections with WHO. He has the Invictus Games that has placed him in very high esteem with governments all over the world. Meanwhile, the British royal family that have hundreds of years of precedence on this land are charging their subjects millions of pounds to use land. They're charging their subjects millions of pounds to rent them homes. That's what I said about accountability. The need for accountability. Personally, with all the anger in the media right now and the fact that they're calling for Andrew's titles to be stripped, I say we go one better. I think the British royal family have shown that they are not responsible people, and we need oversight. We need to know how they are spending money. We need to know how they are using money. We need to know what work they are doing that justifies the spend they have. And I think it's a moment that can't come too soon. I think we've given these people too much grace. We've given them too much grace. They are literally laughing in our faces right now. And I say it needs to stop. Here's what I'm hoping happens. I'm hoping that we do a proper public inquiry into the activities of the British royal family. We need to know how they are, what they are doing with their time, who they are talking to, what deals they are making. I've already said it. All these they are charities. Who are they for? Are they paying taxes? This will happen. This thing will happen again. It will not be the same type of criminality, but it will be just as bad if we don't start holding these people to account. At least that's what I feel anyway. Do you guys agree with me? Let me see who's in the chat. It's a very shocking state of affairs. What we've allowed the British monarchy to get away with. I'm shocked. Yeah, that's what I want to talk about, guys. Prince Andrew and the drive for accountability. I hope this time is something they can sustain. Yes, I hope so. What do you guys think? It's well worth thinking about. I'll do a live when Virginia Giuffre's book comes out because I think we should all sit together. That woman sacrificed herself and her life because I don't, even if she killed herself, frankly, I wouldn't blame her. The trauma of what she went through, living in constant fear, looking, that money that they gave her, it's not enough. She carries that pain, that trauma, for the sake of her kids. She lived a deeply sad life. And the fact that she had this book come out, I think it's, we should do something. We should, it won't, I know. But I think the fact that the book is coming out and the things that she's about to reveal, especially with the momentum of the Epstein files, it's my hope that people get justice. I know. But that's why it needs to come to the public, right? They might be able to bully BBC, Sky News, CNN, ABC, CBS, but you can't bully a random content creator or content creators. All they need is a big, high profile content creator to latch to this story, and it's going to go mainstream. But yeah, I want to shout out to, oh, yes, of course. And that's why they are pushing him so hard, because they can't get to the others. But I'm hoping Virginia's book gives the world something. I hope wherever she is, she's resting in peace. I was grateful to her and to any victims, all the victims that were trafficked on that island that had their lives irrevocably destroyed because of Epstein. We're advocating for your peace of mind and hopefully one day for justice. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to talk to you about this because it was really weighing on my soul. And yeah, I will catch you guys around the corner. I'm going to put a different live for us. Let's talk about the book. I ordered my apricot spread. Hopefully, I get it soon. It's arrived at the post office in America, so hopefully I get it soon. I'll do another review. This time I got more jars of apricots. I'll put it in the fridge. Maybe I might even do a giveaway. I'm thinking of doing a giveaway for the orange marmalade for those of us who live in the UK. But we can talk about it some more during the next stand up. But yeah, it was nice talking to you guys. Let's catch up later. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. And yeah, take care. Bye.